Hey everybody, and welcome to this afternoon session about the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. It's so great to have you all with us here today, and we're so grateful to be at Decoded again. This time we actually have a very special celebration because it's exactly 2 years since we launched the very first Polkadot Blockchain Academy. Yes, 2 years since our very first PBA in Cambridge, and we're very excited today to take you on a bit of a journey to talk about the past, the present, the impact of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, and actually some exciting future announcements to be made. So let's start with the past, with the history, and I'll ask Aaron to walk us through the past academies, what we've been doing since the inception.
Yes, thank you, Alexandra. So we have had 5 academies now all over the world. We started in Cambridge 2 years ago, then went to the Americas and went to Buenos Aires, then a bit north to go to Berkeley, and then we spent the last year really focusing on Asia, East Asia, and we're in Hong Kong in January, and Singapore just now. We've been back for 2 weeks, so I think our team is just starting to recover. And throughout that time, we've been able to have, I think the exact number is 432 participants and people that we've tried to bring into the ecosystem, which has been super exciting. I think we might have some census details that Tim might share about the success of those students. But yeah, it's been really exciting. We know that there's people all over the world that are developing and that are talented that we want to bring into the space. And so we're excited to see where we go next.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, we've built a whole PBA family all across the world, a big global family that's very supportive of each other. And actually, Aaron, since you're the one that's putting on these in-person academies and are there with the students for the whole 4 to 5 weeks, maybe let us in on a bit of how is it the in-person experience? What is special about it?
Where do you even start? I think the most important thing is probably something that Shawn would say as well, is that we are so different because our students have time to work with the actual core developers and learn directly from the people that have been building on Polkadot since day one. We're not hiring trained teachers to teach the content that they have no idea. They're learning with the builders directly, some of whom might have more experience teaching than others, but that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it's kind of a chaotic mess sometimes, and Shawn will just be on the front of the classroom live coding, and who else has the opportunity to kind of watch Shawn code live and actually interrupt him and be like, wait, I think you did that wrong, or wait, that's something else. Never. Shawn's never wrong. So that's one thing, to learn directly from the builders themselves. Secondly, the community itself. I mean, it felt like this in Singapore, that it was like a summer camp vibe. Like everyone left and was just sad to be going. And the friendships and the networking that is made, we've had many teams, some of whom who are here today, that have formed from these academies and have otherwise made of people that would have otherwise never met. So that's a really incredible opportunity, and for us to see these people then go on and build projects, become Polkadot fellows, become a part of a very strong alumni community and stay connected with builders like Shawn and Keon and other people in the Web3 Foundation. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And each time actually we have a new academy, we always bring in new elements. We always have a pilot, an iteration, something new, because we really want to make sure that we bring the best education to the Polkadot community. We really want to make sure that we are receptive and respond very quickly to the needs of the community. And our latest iteration in Singapore was something very new that we piloted, and I'll let Max tell us what it is about.
Yeah, happy to. So one thing the community has been asking, basically, since we've decentralized from Parity and become funded by the Treasury, is when are you going to do online? When are you going to scale this content and basically reach the masses? So this is something we've been taking some baby steps towards, and we'll talk about the giant step that we're taking by the end of the year shortly. But with Singapore, we did a couple things. So first of all, we welcomed in a remote cohort, kind of a pilot trial of 50 students who were synchronously following the lectures online and completing all of the assignments and receiving grades for those assignments. So it was a lot of work for the faculty. So shout out to the faculty for adding on another basically 50 students to the remit. And we're really happy to say that 40 of them completed the cohort. And these are students that weren't just based in APAC or based in a friendly time zone, right? We had people from all over the world tuning in. So that was a huge challenge, and I really commend them all for, not having some of the benefits of the on-site experience, but still being able to benefit a lot and collaborate with each other and to collaborate with the faculty to complete the PBA. So this for us is a really exciting proof of concept as we look to expand the online offering. And the other thing I want to mention is that many of you have probably seen that we've open sourced all of the content, or I shouldn't say all, but basically 90%, everything except for the assignments from the PBA. So you can look at all lecture materials and actually a subset of a complete set of lectures from the PBA, most of which are from Hong Kong, on our YouTube channel. So if you want to get a taste of what the PBA content is like and the experience, you can view that all now openly.
Yeah, no, this is great, and big shout out to the faculty for actually putting together such an amazing content. I mean, what an academy without a curriculum. So actually, I want to ask Sean, since he's been with us since the very onset, since the Cambridge days, to talk us through the curriculum. What is included in the curriculum, why certain modules are there, and how has it evolved since the beginning?
Right. So I think, is it working? Yeah. The curriculum is very unique in the sense that we had to build something that didn't exist before. The truth is that, we wouldn't have built an academy with the same content you can get from any other place. We needed to target us, we saw a need for content around not just being a new Web3 developer, building a smart contract, whatever, but actually being a blockchain developer, right? And this was, really back in the day, I was thinking, the goals here was to get people into the Polkadot ecosystem, but also to help Parity hire. We were looking to hire a bunch of engineers and people prepared to actually handle that kind of workload. And, being an engineer inside of Parity and also in the Parachain's teams is it's not trivial. It's not the same kind of thing as building a, basic dApp or whatever thing you see in the ecosystem. So we had to build a kind of a really new set of curriculum. And what it means when you're building a blockchain instead of building an application is you have to take in consideration a lot more factors, right? So if we talk about the actual curriculum itself, you start with cryptography, game theory, economics, right? Blockchain itself. And then we start to go into frameworks like Substrate, Polkadot, the Polkadot SDK. But really, from the beginning, you're saying here, while you may not be someone who's writing a crypto library, you should understand the properties of cryptography. You should understand what you can do with it, what kinds of primitives and things we can actually build with it, right? And then also understand, okay, well, in a normal, dApp development or kind of, smart contract development, you're putting your app on some other platform where they have their own economics, they have their own game theory, keeping your application safe and secure and resilient. In this situation, you have the ability to control it yourself. You can actually tweak those numbers, and the only way to know how to tweak it is to learn about how it works to begin with, right? So with this in mind, now we can actually enable developers not just to rebuild the same ideas over and over, but actually build unique ideas where they tweak something about the governance, they tweak something about the game theory, the economics, in ways that they understand and the ways that Polkadot enables, right? And so this is a very kind of an exciting thing. We open doors for new kinds of ideas. And I think we've been seeing a lot of students actually leave the academy, do things which no other ecosystem even has. They're providing brand new platforms, brand new ideas that no one else can do. In this last academy, we had students create a palette for free transactions. And we had just today, Gav talk about how if we have personhood, we can actually enable free transactions across the platform, right? So it's these kinds of ideas that are kind of very revolutionary in the space that without the core knowledge that you would gain from these kind of, building blocks, you wouldn't be able to actually build it correctly. So we didn't see this anywhere else. We needed to build a whole new curriculum for it. And yeah, it's been, I think, a really good success.
No, absolutely, and thank you so much to all the faculty that's been working with us for the hard work. And Sean, can you tell us a little bit how the curriculum has iterated? Because also in this last one, we've had new, so before we had Substrate, XCM separately, and now we had a whole Polkadot SDK together. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
I think, when we designed the curriculum to begin with, we wanted to start with a very principled approach. Really not even talking about things like blockchain until you understood all the primitives that built it up. Now, this is kind of, it's like teasing the students, right? Because you're in this blockchain academy and it's we don't even talk, the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, we don't talk about Polkadot till the last week, right? That's kind of, sometimes frustrating, but I think it's honestly, it's quite nice in the sense that, people come into these academies with a lot of, knowledge, but from kind of unreliable sources or some kind of, mixture of ideas. And when you actually start from the fundamentals, it clarifies ideas you had in your head that you might have oversimplified or you might have changed. But, nonetheless, we were trying to provide and iterate on the curriculum so that we can actually introduce concepts like blockchain or Polkadot a little bit sooner, have students talk about things, have students connect ideas from the primitives to the existing technology stack early, because we know that iteration on the material, like learning it over and over, can only help to actually concrete the knowledge, right? To actually make it firm. But yeah, one of the things we wanted to do was, okay, well, we had these things frame, or like blockchain, frame, Polkadot, etc. And we wanted to kind of connect these things not as individual modules, but as an idea, right? So the stack, when you start going to that space, is you want to build something in the Polkadot ecosystem with the Polkadot SDK, right? And for that, you need to know how Polkadot works. You need to know how blockchains work. You need to know how Rust and Frame works, right? And so being able to combine this as one kind of umbrella, I think has tried to attempt to reveal a narrative around how these things connect. Now, I will say, as you said, every academy is a little bit different. I think some of these ideas are still rough. They need to be polished a little bit more. But I think the general idea of letting students know ahead of time, like what to expect and where to apply the knowledge learning now to the information later, I think that's very helpful. That's what we've been trying to do to iterate the content. So it's much less about individual modules and more about collective stories.
And just to add a specific thing that we added this time, and maybe Max can go more into it, but governance is something that we had a little bit of in Hong Kong, and then it was a whole module itself this time that was really, I think, unexpected for the students. They came wanting to learn all about the Rust and the code, but really, if you're building a protocol, it's super important to know, like, what do I do if my protocol is hacked? Like, what's the regulatory thing behind that? What decision do I make? All these things. It was an incredible opportunity for the students to really have intense discussions and debates, and as a staff, it was super entertaining to watch, and I'm excited to see how we also build that in more and kind of put more importance on that, because it is equally important as the economics is what's the governance behind it.
It's divisive as well, I think. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And as we know, we're building code, not for the code's sake, but actually for the community, for the people. So it's actually very important to include that into the curriculum as well. So yes, thank you so much. But the big question is now, so the Polkadot Blockchain Academy has been running for 2 years, 5 successful cohorts. What is the actual impact on the Polkadot community? Tim, let us know.
No idea. Actually, to measure this, we decided this time, for the first time, we decided about a month ago to run a census of everyone who's graduated from PBAs 1 to 4. To include 5 at this point is too soon, right? People haven't filtered into teams, etc. Because it only finished a couple of weeks ago. So we have gone through and caught up with everyone. So the results of the first census that we've ever done. So we have, drum roll. So we've got 36 founders who are active in the ecosystem full-time that have come through the PBA, including Sergey, who's around here somewhere. He's like 18, building Region X. Pretty impressive. We have 4 head ambassadors confirmed, with a load more in the pipeline. We may end up with even like half of the overall head ambassadors that are PBA grads, which is pretty cool. We have 11 people in the fellowship, 7 people who are candidates, I think is kind of a way to put it. And then of the 224 grads, 130 are in the ecosystem in some way. So that's 58%, which I think, all things considered, is pretty good. It's a starting point to, we can keep chipping away and improving that number. But we were, I think, really pleasantly surprised with the number when it popped out, right?
You said that of the people that aren't in the ecosystem, a lot want to actually come back and are interested in getting back involved.
Of that 42% who aren't in the ecosystem, I'd say half are ghosting us, and the other half actually want to get back into the ecosystem if they can, or get into the ecosystem for the first time. Because quite a few came and went in that 2 years as well, right? So, this makes the alumni program super important to us. If we keep engaging with people and helping them find their way back into the ecosystem or to stay in the ecosystem, that's going to help our impact overall, right? So back to your original word, impact. Well, what's the point in working with people through the PBA, sending them off into the ecosystem, and then giving them no support? It's a waste, right? So we're here to help afterwards as well.
And I'd like to add, I think the key thing to mention is that it's not just about, the number, 130 or whatever that we put into the ecosystem, but also how prepared or skilled they are, right? And so my back of the envelope idea is that if you do the academy, which is 5 weeks, you come out as an engineer with having had what would be equivalent to 6 months of onboarding in a normal Polkadot company, right? So those people are not just out in the ecosystem, but they're like having a head start, having solved this, the hardest part of any onboarding, which is that first 6 months, and then they're already out there actually building, contributing, right? That's why we can actually have people become founders out of the academy.
No, absolutely. So very impressive, and we're very curious to see what Wave 5 brings to the Polkadot ecosystem. Over 100, 190 overall grads from Wave 5.
I think we have one PBA 5 graduate sitting right here who's starting a job in the ecosystem on Monday.
Woohoo!
Alina, if you want.
Fabulous. Well, this is amazing news. But there's more to come. We have exciting announcements. So, Polkadot Blockchain Academy 1.0 is finished. Now we're starting a new era. Yes? Well, we can come up with a better name. So, what's to come in the future, Max?
Yeah, so by the end of this year, as I teased so far, we're going to launch a designed for online program. Right now, the working title is PBAX, so maybe this changes. But the plan is to launch this by November or so. And this will be a completely different format. So our idea here is, how do we reach more people? How do we scale the format? And what's the kind of ideal format and experience for an online learner? We already have some learnings of this from Singapore, from our pilot program. Our idea, though, is to have much less lecture time, so you have much higher level introductory content, and then we mix this with more activities and assignments, which will be synchronous. So for our first kind of rendition, we're planning to do a hybrid program that's partially asynchronous with recorded lecture and lesson content, and then synchronous activities where you have direct exposure with your peers and with the instructors. I think it's our goal, based on discussions that we've had so far, to expand this to be beyond just developers. Actually, officially, the PBA is for core developers. Though if you look at some of our placement results, most of them aren't being core developers in Polkadot, because we have fewer than 130 core developers in Polkadot, right? So most of them are, building parachains, building dApps, even doing stuff higher level in the stack. So this is something that we want to address and something that we specifically want to cater towards. And also, I think there's the opportunity for this content, especially this, primitive building block content, which is supposed to be showing people how we think in this ecosystem and how we view Web3, to be accessible to people who are not strictly technical or not strictly developers as well. So that's our vision for PBAX. I think, Tim, you're about to talk about what that means for the on-site program, but I think we see them as kind of operating hand in hand, right?
Yeah, so PBAX is coming, but PBA in person is not going away, right? Although PBA 5 was probably the last time we'll ever do a 1-month course. 5 weeks? Yeah, 5-week course. It's really long, it's really expensive, and we feel we can get that in-person experience to where we want it to be with a, I don't know, 2 and a bit week course, something like that, where people have already done PBAX, so have learned the primitives and had a good introduction, and then perhaps done some interim work between end of PBAX and start of PBA, come for 2 weeks and do a way more practical course for the best of the PBAX people who get selected for PBA in person. So shorter format. I think we'll be able to widen the net in terms of who we can attract to come to the PBA, because you guys that I recognize in the crowd who have been through a 1-month course, you're lucky you've been able to come and do a 1-month course. A lot of the best talent out there in the market can't do that, right? But they could take a 2-week holiday and come to a host city. So, yeah, that's how we're evolving. We're changing format and the amount of time that we have people on site.
Yeah, and I think this is really exciting because the people who are working on this and leading it are people who have experience with online education. It is a whole nother beast. It is crazy to put on an online course, and that's what we found. And that was some hesitation from also some faculty when we proposed having the online version of Singapore. They said, that is something completely different. We tackled it in the best way we could, I think, but we have so much room to improve. And Pauline, our CEO, has so much experience with online learning. Radha, who is from the Web3 Foundation and is helping support, really lead this and push this forward, has a lot of experience creating courses. So we have people who are working on this who are really like have visions and who have experience making incredible experiences.
Yeah, and the PBAX will allow us to reach thousands of developers, where at the moment we can do some hundreds a year. So we need to really widen the net. So this is the start of our next solution.
So very exciting. And of course, we're looking forward to welcoming new developers and the support from the Polkadot ecosystem in our new endeavors. And definitely
And our new referendum, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about support that all you can do. One of the things that we've done with the Academy in the spirit of open source, public technology stuff, all of our content is online. It has a permissive license. There's a bunch of videos online too. I'm sure that, is it in a license that they can cut it and edit it? Sure, yeah. It's all open, right? So, I mean, if you're a previous alumni or if you're a person in the ecosystem learning from our stuff and you have your own way of teaching, right? Like, contribute. Like PBAX will be just one pathway that is kind of curated for a certain kind of education, but everyone learns in different ways. Everyone, even a blog post or whatever is a way that someone can actually learn from the material. So I hope that I can actually see other reformations of the content into different kinds, right?
Certainly. I think, first of all, we don't want to have a monopoly on the content.
Yeah.
And second of all, we're experimenting a lot with the format, so there's no reason others shouldn't. But in that vein, Shawn, if anybody's interested in joining the PBA faculty, the teaching staff as a teaching assistant instructor, we are looking for new blood to join the mission. So please get in touch with us. You can get in touch with me. Find us.
And
Yes.
I can say with confidence that this team is a cool team. It's a fun team.
It's fun. We're fun.
We're fun, we promise.
You should regret not having 5 weeks with us on site.
I've forgotten. I'll come back to you when I remember.
Well, if you have more questions...
Tim's ready for a beer, so if you want to join us for a beer after this.
Yes, you can do that. And also you have a booth, the Academy booth, where you can come and ask us any questions if something pops up. So thank you so much, everybody. If you want to reach out to the staff, we're available today and tomorrow.
Questions?
And any questions we have?
Richard, you're always asking questions.
Is that from? Is that from? Which one is that? Berkeley? Oh, too bad. I have a Berkeley one too. I thought that was from the first one. We were all kind of like. Yeah, we should have planned that. Anyway, we have a decent.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
2 minutes to go. Hello.